and welcome to another edition of Circles of Influence, a production of the Herndon Chamber of Commerce in conjunction with HCTV. I'm Eileen Curtis, your host, and it's my pleasure to welcome today Carol Wesley Wright, and she is the project coordinator for a new nonprofit organization in Herndon, but one that has national roots, and it's called Wreaths Across America. Welcome, Carol.
Thank you.
What can you tell us about the national organization?
Wreaths Across America is an organization that supports, honors, remembers, and teaches about our veterans. Most everyone knows about Arlington National Cemetery and how every year they lay the wreaths on the graves of the vets. And this is done throughout the United States, but all at the same time, all the same ceremony. It's a script, but the job at Arlington is grandiose, and the traffic is huge, the volunteers huge, and this has never been done before in Fairfax County. It's done, again, all over the United States, but never, just a couple of locations in the state of Virginia, but never in Fairfax County. So the Herndon Women's Club, the Department of Community and Public Affairs decided that this would be a wonderful project for us to take on, because here in Herndon we have a lovely cemetery now operated and run by the town of Herndon. So we started wondering how many vets are there, because the cemetery dates back to the 1800s, and nobody really knew, which was amazing to us. Many of the graves are old and did not have markers. So we have been going up the rows of that cemetery one at a time, and it's a large cemetery, to try to identify how many veterans are there. The manager of the cemetery thought that there were maybe 300 or so. Well, we have identified almost 500 now. So hopefully by this time next month, all of those will have the wreath there. But back to Wreaths Across America, it started in 1992. And it was started by a gentleman in Maine who provides the wreaths, and there's actually a parade down the coast to Virginia and shipped all over the United States to supply these wreaths. For the Herndon Women's Club and for many organizations throughout the United States, it can be a fundraiser. We have worked hard to try to get sponsors. We were thinking that many of the defense contractors in the area would be honored to actually do this. But most of our support has come from local, very local town. Herndon is great. We've had a lot of help from Herndon, like the Chamber. And we are very grateful for that.
So this has been your first year of getting involved with this national project, and I have a thought about first years of any event or project, and that is that they require a lot of extra time. What has your journey been like?
Very interesting. Actually, we did do something similar last year. We had the ceremony, and we purchased just a few wreaths to put on the pillars. Many locals may have seen the pillars, the fence, the beautiful fence, and the pillars around the cemetery were decorated, and we had a very touching ceremony there. But that was, you know, maybe involved 20 or 30 wreaths. But this year, our project is going to be 500 wreaths. Now this means a tractor trailer truck will pull in a few days before the 12th with many boxes of wreaths. So we are just now coming up with a plan of how we're going to distribute these, because we don't want to do it. It's not about us necessarily, but it's about the community and people who have supported us and maybe relatives of these vets. And a very, very large portion of this, their mission is to honor, to remember, and to teach. And to me, the teaching part is what's so special, because without our children knowing about the veterans, there will be no veterans, no one left to honor and to remember and to teach. So we have Boy Scouts involved and Girl Scouts involved, and we're having a little program at the library for children on Saturday. So that is a huge portion of the mission. And again, a big jump from last year, because we didn't do that part of our mission for this project. So,
so let me ask you, you mentioned having identified many veterans. How does one go about doing that, and have you unearthed some interesting characters in your process?
Well, I have to mention Bev Davis, Herndon Women's Club member, who has just done a fabulous job of this, getting volunteers and actually walking those rows of the cemetery, which at times aren't really rows. And some of the graves, of course, are marked with a headstone, and some are marked with a little tiny plaque, and some you have to scoot away the leaves and the grass. So she's also made trips to our library in Fairfax, and there have been books that we have used as references. We have simply identified, and we'll put stakes on those graves that we have identified, but we haven't necessarily gotten every name. That would probably be a long-term goal, because since the town of Herndon, as I understand it, since the town of Herndon has had the cemetery and there is a burial, they properly identify the veterans. But the cemetery was not under the town for many years. So this is a work in progress. And if there's some historian out there who really wants to work on this, it would be wonderful to really get all of those names.
Well, all of you in the Herndon Historical Society, listen up, you have a project. So tell us about what's happening on December 12th, and if somebody wants to participate, how do they manage that?
Absolutely. On December 12th, 12/12 at 12, which is pretty easy to remember. The weather is going to be beautiful, and we're going to have a very short ceremony, and the ceremony again is the same all over the United States, and they do remember and honor all of the different, you know, the Army, the Navy, the POWs. It's very touching, and we have an adult to represent each one of those branches of the military. So the short ceremony will only be maybe 20 minutes, and then those who are present are going to be invited to get a wreath and to put it on a grave. It's very interesting, but this is a part that we didn't think about. At Arlington, every grave is a veteran. It's like, yikes, you know, now that we've identified almost 500, how are we going to, what can we do to mark them? So thank heavens we were saved. Wes Foster from Long and Foster donated 500 stands that I'm a realtor, that I put my open house signs on. And so the Sunday before, we're going to go and re-find all those veterans' graves, and we're going to put that wonderful stand there so all of the wreaths will look the same, and it'll be great. But then, of course, we have to pick up the stands and hopefully save them for next year. It was really funny when these stands were donated. I thought, wow, this is great. But suddenly, it was delivered to my house, and there were 500 stands, or 300 pounds of metal. So we worked through that and are grateful,
Well,
and hope that we can use them over and over again.
of course. Well, you're doing a wonderful thing for our community and for our veterans. Honor and gratitude seems to be watchwords that you hear all over these days, and it's so nice that we have come around to being a country that truly recognizes the service given by our veterans.
Yes.
So thank you for that amazing contribution, and I hope that everyone will be with us on December 12th.
I hope so. Yes. Thank you.
Thank you for being with us, Carol.
Thank you.